All right, so today we're going to jump into a Christian children's story, of all things, from way back in 1893. And we're doing it to tackle a question that's just as relevant now as it was then. Where do we get our sense of self-worth from? So, this quote, this is basically the soundtrack playing on a loop inside our main character's head. His name is Adam Livy. And for him, this isn't just a fleeting thought on a bad day. Nope, this is his core belief. He is convinced he is utterly and completely insignificant. Okay, so to really get Adam, you've got to put yourself in his shoes for a minute. We need to understand his world, which is really shaped by backbreaking work, a whole lot of quiet desperation, and this feeling that just won't go away, that he's of no account. So what's Adam's life actually like? Well, it's the same thing, day in and day out. He's a striker in a foundry, which means his days are just this constant rhythm of swinging a heavy hammer. Now, he's a good worker, for sure, super reliable, but he's also kind of like a ghost there. He doesn't talk to anyone, keeps to himself, all because he's carrying this deep conviction that life dealt him a really bad hand right from the start. So you gotta wonder, right? How did a man end up feeling this way? Well, this deep sense of being worthless, it didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was really forged by a lifetime of disappointments, starting way back in his childhood and continuing right into his marriage. I mean, you look at his past, and it's just one gut punch after another. His dad died right when he was getting old enough to actually enjoy school and learning. Boom, that dream was over. He was forced to work. Then you have his mom, who was so crushed by grief that she basically just gave up on life. The story describes her presence as a dampening blanket over the whole house. To top it all off, his brothers took off, leaving Adam to carry all that weight by himself. And the two most important women in his life seemed to just confirm his worst fears. His mother's constant, silent sadness pretty much taught him that life was just something you had to endure. And then there's his wife, Maggie. He married her hoping she'd bring some light into his gloomy world. But pretty soon, the daily grind of being poor just wore her down, and that cheerfulness faded away. Okay, so just when you think Adam is totally stuck in this bleak mindset for good, something happens. A new person shows up at the foundry, and this one arrival kicks off a chain reaction that is going to challenge everything Adam believes about himself. This new manager, Mr. Drummond, he is the complete opposite of everything Adam is used to. He isn't just some guy yelling orders. He's smart, he's fair, and get this, he actually seems to see his workers as human beings. He takes a genuine interest in them, which is something Adam has just never, ever experienced from a boss. Now, Adam's first instinct? Avoid this guy at all costs. He does his best to just fly under the radar. But you can't hide forever, right? One Saturday, he's at the park with his kids, and boom, he's cornered. Mr. Drummond comes and sits down right next to him. So after Adam kind of spills his guts and explains this lifelong feeling he has of being unimportant, Mr. Drummond doesn't offer pity. He doesn't say, "Oh, you poor guy." Nope, he hits him with this killer question. For the very first time in his life, someone forces Adam to think about his worth, not in terms of his job or his wallet, but through the eyes of the people who love and need him most, his family. So that one single conversation, it's like it planted this tiny seed of doubt in Adam's mind. And that little push from Mr. Drummond makes him do something he never would have done before. He takes a step into a place that is completely foreign to him. He's searching for, well, he doesn't even know what he's searching for. He just knows he needs something. So he wanders into a mission service in town. He walks in just carrying this huge weight of loneliness and doubt, kind of hoping for an answer, but not really believing he'll find one. And of course, as soon as he sits down, what's the first thing that pops into his head? Yep, that old familiar tune. I don't matter. I'm just a poor guy. Why would any of this be for me? And then, something absolutely wild happens. It's like the preacher is reading his mind. He seems to answer Adam's silent thought out loud. He takes that exact phrase, "of no account," and flips it completely on its head. He says it's not a weakness. It's the very thing Jesus embraced to understand and connect with people. And to really hammer this point home, the preacher pulls out this powerful metaphor using this quote. The big idea of the sermon is this. In God's eyes, the people who feel overlooked and worthless, they aren't just rocks on the side of the road. They're precious. They are treasured jewels. I mean, this message just hits Adam like a lightning bolt. It completely shatters his old way of thinking and gives him an entirely new way to see himself and his place in the world. It really kicks off this huge internal transformation. You can almost see the gears turning in his head. First, for the first time maybe ever, he actually listens to a message that directly fights against that negative voice in his head. Then it clicks. He understands this whole Jules idea. He gets it. And that makes him stop and reflect on his life, not with pity, but realizing all the things he had that he never even said thank you for. Which finally leads him to act. He prays. So, this is the big switch, right? This is the whole game changer. Adam begins to see himself not as a man of no account, a label the world and he himself slapped on him, but as one of the Lord's jewels, which is an identity that comes from a totally different source. And that really brings us back to the core question of this whole story. This story, written over 130 years ago, gives a really clear answer. It says true worth doesn't come from your job or your bank account or what other people think of you. It suggests our value is just there, given to us from a source beyond ourselves. Now, whether you agree with that or not, Adam Livy's story makes you ask yourself, what are the jewels in our own lives, and where do we get our own sense of being of account?